Hi all, and the next one from a Cora question was, are there legitimate examples of a narcissist becoming cured? Well, I did a video before where I explained that I personally am highly skeptical that they will be cured. But of course, I don't know everything, so who am I to say that that is impossible? But having a lot of experience in this area, I knew a chap for over 30 years. No, I tried to help him in different ways, but it didn't work out in the end. Tom Ewell, um, he is a mathematics MS from Iowa University from 1984. He said that, well, yeah, it is a great question. Being cured, if you know what I mean, is impossible, bearing a miracle, which I'll explain why. But there could certainly be success stories which I'd like to hear about. I should qualify this by saying, if we're talking about the worst cases, opposed to someone who merely has narcissistic traits. So I said before that narcissistic traits, a certain amount of these in each person is not necessarily a bad thing because it gives you self-worth and it can move you towards your goals. However, if you're too far along the spectrum, you just won't bear anyone else into consideration, and it's just literally all about you, like a baby. And it is impossible. People around you cannot deal with that. Kind of like Donald Trump in a sort of nappy. They have these meltdowns, and it's just impossible to deal with. But anyway, so he says the reason the cure is impossible in general is narcissism involves having behavioral development interrupted as a young child. And once the step's been lost, it's too late to undo the damage. They have a fundamentally different view of reality. They are not only in the center of the world, but they fill it completely, so they're unable to conceive of other things or people as detached from themselves. So yeah, I have had experience of that. They tend to sort of try and sort of pseudo attach themselves to you, to fulfill their needs. Um, but basically, what this means is that it leads them to perceive things very differently, and sort of you get to understand their actions a bit, but they are sort of very difficult to understand for most people. So Sam Varkin said, if you imagine how you'd feel if you tried to move your arm and you couldn't. This is the distress the narcissist goes through when they want another person to do what they want and they don't. So I noticed recently when I was not complying and I was refusing to, have further contact with this person, they didn't like that and they flipped out and went into a rage, and they sort of want you to do what they want all the time according and fulfill their needs irregardless of what your needs are. So what this guy continues, a success story for a narcissist would be recognizing that they perceive things differently than others, trying to learn to behave in socially acceptable ways, is going to be very, very difficult, because it's a big hurdle for them is that they really don't seem to be aware of their condition. They don't accept at an intellectual level that their behavior is unacceptable, because they just sort of say that you must do like you're a toy. It's like you're their object, you're their toy in their universe, and they sort of seem to think that that's fine, like they own you and you're not a separate human being. So it's very odd if you've ever met someone like that who actually thinks that they are the king and they own you. I'm kind of very different. Some people may have said that I had sort of slight narcissistic traits, but I don't actually own people. I am not, yeah, I'm not a slave master. If people are in my life, they're in there because they want to be. If they don't, sort of they go on their way. So that's kind of how I do it, and I prefer that way of being. Makes me feel much more happy. So they don't think they need to be changed, and then it's extraordinarily difficult. He says that a few are able to do it, and those particular people do need to get a lot of respect, because they don't have empathy. And I have empathy issues, but not in the same way as these guys, because I don't try and abuse and own my friends and stuff like that. Um, but most of these people, you have to accept that most of them will end up living a life totally selfish and basically destructive to people around them, and they just care for themselves, 100% for themselves. It's not like, if you're like that, you cannot actually have a real friend, because they will not value what you bring to the table. So yeah, Mike King, who he's another chap on Quora, and he said that mental illness is not associated with cure, and narcissism is one of the most resistant to treatment. I can totally understand that, and talk therapy will be totally useless. They'll just treat it as a game to improve whatever knowledge they have about how to play the system and play the game. And few will seek treatment on their own, because they deny that they have any problem at all, despite any evidence to the contrary. They deny they have any problems. So they're not out in their minds. They just say it's the rest of the world that's out of their minds. It's them. They're not doing anything wrong. They can't see how amazing I am. So they have to bow down to adulation and do as they command. So it's not like some guy on YouTube doing some videos and people watching them. And I'm not saying to you, watch this and bow down to me and do what I want. Do what I want, you pathetic creature. That kind of thing. No, that's not how it works. And so you've got this. It does seem to be on the increase a lot, and but if you're an innocent person and you are sort of, this could be very, very harmful to people who are not strong people and not able to extricate themselves from this bullying. It is extreme bullying, and some people may be just looking for attention, or like some people are self-centered, and anyone can be self-centered, with your own interests, but it's not the same as trying to own, like owning your friend and calling them all sorts of names, and just trying to make them feel bad and terrible, and sort of projecting their shame onto you. So basically, they can be seldom cured. They're not going to try and get treatment, and then like you decide you've had enough, you go away, unless you're particularly unlucky, you can't get away. But then they just find other people to do whatever, find the next people. So that's really how it works. But anyway, I hope you got something useful out of that, and think for yourself with the people around you, because some people will, they'll belittle you, call you names, and they will actually try and put you down and ruin your life if you're not very careful. So do be watching out for yourself, and please like, share, subscribe to my channel, and click the bell if you like any of these videos. And I enjoy doing these videos, and I'd love to get some conversation going about these topics. So please do drop me any questions and I will reply to those. So see you in the next one. Cheers.